President Donald Trump's latest healthcare executive order marks another worrying chapter in the administration's increasingly pharma-friendly trajectory, cloaked under the familiar banner of cost-cutting reform. Despite claims of helping patients and controlling runaway drug prices, the order effectively places another brick in the wall that protects pharmaceutical profits at the expense of public health. With the stroke of a pen, Trump has thrown his weight behind a key industry goal: delaying when the federal government can negotiate drug prices under Medicare, one of the few levers available to combat unchecked corporate pricing in the U.S. healthcare system. The centerpiece of the order focuses on changing the eligibility timeline for price negotiations under Medicare, extending the wait for small molecule drugs, like pills and capsules, from 9 to 13 years, matching that of complex biologic drugs. At first glance, the move appears to create symmetry between drug types. But this kind of parity is not justice. It's a strategic concession to pharmaceutical companies who rely heavily on small molecule drugs for stable, long-term profits. Pills make up the lion's share of prescriptions filled in the United States, and any delay in negotiating their prices keeps them shielded from competition and government scrutiny, all while costs continue to climb for consumers who can least afford them. It's worth emphasizing what this change would mean in real terms. A 4-year extension before Medicare can even begin negotiating prices ensures that high launch prices remain untouched, continuing to bleed the program and its beneficiaries. Drug makers have argued that earlier negotiations stifle innovation. But this argument is highly suspect, given the billions in profits pharmaceutical companies already enjoy and their reliance on public-funded research. The reality is simpler. The industry is fiercely guarding its ability to charge whatever it wants for as long as possible. This executive order does not and cannot directly rewrite the law. That would require congressional action. But it unmistakably signals Trump's priorities. By instructing Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to work with Congress to alter the Inflation Reduction Act's drug pricing provisions, Trump is clearly aligning with Big Pharma's playbook. The original legislation, signed into law under President Biden, was a historic shift toward price control, allowing Medicare to negotiate prices for the first time. Trump's new directive seeks to blunt that progress before it even fully takes hold. The framing of the order as a cost-saving initiative is, at best, misleading. Trump administration officials claim the new structure would create more savings in future rounds of negotiation, but they provided no specifics. Meanwhile, Biden's first round of Medicare negotiations achieved price cuts of up to 79% on some of the most expensive drugs. Undoing or delaying this progress under the pretense of improving the system amounts to handing billions of dollars back to drug companies and pulling away relief from patients. The order's other components, encouraging states to import drugs from Canada and streamlining FDA approvals for generics and biosimilars, sound promising but ring hollow in the broader context. Only one state, Florida, has been authorized by the FDA to import drugs, and there's been no real movement toward broad adoption. Encouraging other states to apply is little more than a rehashed talking point from Trump's first term, lacking serious administrative willpower or legislative teeth. As for generics and biosimilars, the true barriers are legal. Pharmaceutical companies often abuse patent laws to delay competition, and without addressing that, no amount of FDA encouragement will significantly change the game. Also buried in the executive order is the push for site-neutral payments, a policy that sounds equitable but is fraught with risk. The idea is to standardize what Medicare pays for treatments, regardless of where they are administered. In theory, it could reduce arbitrary differences in patient charges. But in practice, it threatens to undercut hospitals that serve high-risk, underserved, or rural populations. These facilities often rely on higher reimbursement rates to keep their doors open. Flattening payment structures without considering local needs could lead to closures or service reductions, disproportionately affecting those with the fewest alternatives. What makes this order particularly dangerous is its political timing and rhetorical sleight of hand. With the pharmaceutical industry facing growing public anger and scrutiny, the administration has managed to frame this as a win for affordability, despite the clear benefits for the very companies driving the crisis. Worse, this executive order arrives amid rumblings of pharma-related tariffs, positioning the administration as tough on drug makers while quietly delivering exactly what the industry has asked for behind the scenes. In the end, the executive order is less a reform and more a calculated rollback. It undercuts the few tools the federal government has to rein in drug prices, cushions the bottom lines of some of the world's most powerful corporations, and offers little of substance to the Americans still rationing insulin or skipping cancer medications because they cost too much. The promise of cheaper drugs has once again been diluted into a familiar pattern of policy smoke and mirrors. For patients and families hoping for relief, this executive order is not just disappointing, it's a dangerous step in the wrong direction.